And awkward is not a warning sign. It's a signpost to move toward what it is that you're afraid to do. It's a signal that you are aligning your deepest values with your actions. And it's what closes that courage gap between what you know is the right thing to do and what you actually do, between your insight, your impact, between who you are and who it is you most want to be. Why do you avoid it? Because your brain is wired for comfort. It's wired for certainty. It's wired for short-term emotional security and predictability and familiarity. And so what do you get built when you brave the awkward things? You build integrity with yourself. You build self-belief and you build your capacity to do more brave things. Welcome to the Live Brave podcast. I'm Margie Warrell. Here you'll learn how to live and lead with more courage in an increasingly anxious world. If you'd love to bring your bravest self to your biggest challenges and the boldest vision for your life, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, Margie here, and welcome back to the Live Brave podcast. A lot of people say to me, Margie, you talk a lot about courage and bravery, and why do you put so much energy into it? Because, of course, there are other things that are important too. Resilience and generosity and kindness and purpose, and the list is long. Yes, absolutely, that's true. But I believe that courage, a virtue that we've been talking about since the days of Aristotle 2000 plus years ago, is the most fundamental core virtue. It is the birthplace from which other virtues can really be practiced fully. And so as I talk about courage today, I want to just invite you to think about where in your life do you need to practice more of it? And when I say practice it, I do so deliberately because courage is a practice. It's not something you just choose. Oh, I'm going to be brave from now on. Or it is not also a personality type. Like, yes, some people are just born brave and bold and, huge tolerance for risk, and others, they're just cautious, that controlling, timid type. That's true. We all have different personalities. I have a sense of adventure, which has led me to doing some things that some might say are pretty brave over the years. But all of us, regardless of our personality type, regardless of how cautious we may have been, regardless of our reticence to put ourselves out there. Maybe you're a bona fide introvert and you hate going in to crowded rooms and meeting people, but that doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to do that. Maybe it's undeveloped, but doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to do that. Today's episode is really going to deepen on this concept of what it means for us to brave the awkwardness that our brains are wired for us to avoid. I did an episode on this a little while back where I talked about the need to just get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. And there is a truth to that. That is true. But I want to talk to you today, not just as awkwardness as something you can survive, but as something that's actually strategic. Now, maybe you are in an organization, maybe you're leading a team, and maybe you think, I wish the people in my team would just speak up more, would push back more, would challenge more, would stop being so resistant to change and so threatened by anything that, requires them to learn something new or do something differently. All of us are wired more for self-preservation, for shoring up the status quo, than for going out there, trying new things, knocking on doors, risking a rejection, going into a room, setting yourself a goal, making a change that's going to light your life up in a new way, that's going to help you grow in a new way, that's going to help you, one, cultivate your own talents and strengths, but also be someone who brings more value to other people too. And of course, To me, at the heart of what it means to lead with courage, to lead at all, is our ability to affect positive change for others. But we cannot do that unless we're deeply rooted in the values in which we want to define our lives. Because unless you can say to yourself, I know why I need to be brave, then you probably won't, because your brain is going to be screaming at you not to do it. A few years back, I went off to circus school. You may have heard me share this story before, but it was supposed to be a fun morning out with girlfriends. And I thought this is going to be a cinch because when I was 18, 19, I accepted an invitation from a guy I had a crush on at university to go and spend a weekend learning how to jump out of a plane. And no, this was not a tandem jump. So all day Saturday we trained, and Sunday we jumped out of the plane. And I did that because I honestly, I had a crush on him. I thought this might be a good bonding weekend. Alas, it didn't work out with me and Chris, but I think that's because later I learned that he may have been gay, but my gaydar wasn't very strong at that moment in time. But I share that with you because when I got invited to circus school, I was like, hey, how hard can that be? How hard can it be for me just to climb up this rope ladder? I have a harness on. There's a safety net. There's a guy who's former Circus Soleil professional. He's going to help me out. And yet when I got to that top of that platform and looked down on that net and on the ground that looked like it was about 5 miles beneath me, my body froze. It went into absolute terror mode. I literally started shaking. I really wanted to cry, and I really wanted to climb back down the ladder. And yet I knew intellectually I needed to just lean off that platform, grab that bar, and just swing through the air. We'd been told, put your knees around the bar, and if someone from the other side's going to swing out, they're going to catch you. You're going to fly through the air. We'll take a video. It'll be a great Instagram moment. And I froze. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, what do I do? My friends started yelling out, your courage, stop playing safe, which would have sounded like encouraging friends, except they were the titles of my books at the time. And I knew they were just making fun of me. And so, of course, my fear of professional humiliation won out over fear of falling to what my brain was telling me was certain death. And out I swung, let out one almighty scream, forgot to put my knees over the bar, eventually dropped onto the net. And because I was raised as a good Catholic girl with strong Christian values to be generous, I gave away my turns to my friend. I know. It also confirmed that I wasn't supposed to run away and join the circus. But I share this with you now because even though there's things that you know that you should do, you need to do, even though there is a future that is calling your name, there is going to be this deeply etched instinct and voice in the back of your head imploring you, don't do it. What if you fail? What will people say? You'll make an idiot of yourself. And so often that voice wins. As I wrote in The Courage Gap, fear starts in the mind, but it embeds in the body. And those nervous butterflies you feel, or that anxious, tightness on your chest, or, your hands clamming up, your shoulders back getting really tight. I often feel that. That is just your body imploring you not to do the very thing that the deepest, wisest, bravest part of you knows you need to do. And so today's advice episode here is on you recalibrating how you relate to those feelings in your body. And they're called feelings because you feel them. And doing the very thing that they would really much, much prefer you not do. Because this concept of awkwardness, this concept of, Danny, edit that, because braving the awkward is not the enemy. It is not to be avoided. It is the access point. It is what opens the door, not just to new possibilities for you, though that's part of it, but to you being the kind of person that you know deep, deep within you that you have it within you to be, to you addressing the tensions that can exist in your relationships, to you building your brand, your reputation in the eyes of people who need to know about you, who could open other new doors of possibility for you, and for you being the leader, the change agent, the role model, the exemplar that others are looking to you to be. And if you're thinking, Margie, I'm not in a leadership role, well, what about your kids? What about your siblings? What about your neighbors, people in your community? Every one of us can lead at every level and in every sphere of influence that we are in. And so, what does that look like for you right now? So, this starts with you recognizing this isn't about you feeling like doing something. It is about you deciding that your values matter more than your fear and being more committed to a positive future outcome than you are afraid of a future negative, unwanted outcome. I wrote about that in the courage gap in the first principle, which is focus on what you want and not on what you fear, because what you focus on expands. And when you're just focused on what you don't want, what you hope won't happen, that takes up all your mental real estate. That's where your emotions go. And so you have to be really committed to what it is you want to create, to the kind of person that you want to be, and to the values that you want to define yourself by. And awkward is not a warning sign. It's a signpost to move toward what it is that you're afraid to do. It's a signal that you are aligning your deepest values with your actions. And it's what closes that courage gap between what you know is the right thing to do and what you actually do, between your insight, your impact, between who you are and who it is you most want to be. Why do you avoid it? Because your brain is wired for comfort. It's wired for certainty. It's wired for short-term emotional security and predictability and familiarity. And so what do you get built when you brave the awkward things? You build integrity with yourself. You build self-belief and you build your capacity to do more brave things, because every time you do those things, you rewire your brain. Like your brain literally changes its form. And we know this from science. There's neuroplasticity, that our brains are pliable. And every time we take a course of action, even though we mightn't feel like doing it, it strengthens the pathway. And in the beginning, it might feel like a goat track. Like, oh, I walked into a room and introduced myself to someone I didn't know. Oh, I spoke up at a meeting. Oh, I said no to an invitation, even though I was afraid of letting someone down. It helps you build your own identity as a person who can do hard things. It builds your self-respect, and it also builds the respect others have for you as well. So how do you do that? Get clear about what are the values that you really want to define yourself by. Number 2, decide who it is you want to be. Because when you are really rooted and anchored in the kind of person you want to be, then it enables you to do the very difficult, scary, uncomfortable things that you need to do to show up as that person. Years ago, when I was writing my book, Stop Playing Safe, I interviewed Philip Merrick, a friend of mine, about building his business. It was called Web Methods. And Philip said in the early days, he spent a lot of time in the basement of his townhouse, working on all the technical side of building this business. He had his wife, Karen, also a wonderful friend of mine, she was the marketer. But Philip said when it came to raising funds, a part of him didn't want to go out and have to go on an investor roadshow. He said when it came to raising funds, there was a part of him that really didn't want to do it. He said to me, I'm naturally more introverted. Going out there and talking about the business and, trying to raise capital wasn't something he felt like doing. but he knew the value that this business could bring. He knew who it is he wanted to be. He wanted to be someone who built a business that would bring immense value to a whole lot of customers in the B2B space. And so, because he knew who he wanted to be, because he had a vision for the company he wanted to build, he went out there and did the very thing that he didn't really feel like doing. And over time, he got better at it. And over time, he was more and more successful at it. And they built a really successful business, which they eventually exited. But the point of me sharing this story is that when you get clear about who it is you want to be and about what it is you most want to do, it's going to compel you to brave those awkward moments. Secondly, step back from your emotions and see them for what they are. They are emotions, they're feelings. They are telling you how you're perceiving what's going on around you, but they're not commanding you. As Susan Davids said, emotions are data, not directives. And so you get to decide, what do I do with this emotion? Do I let this emotion keep me from speaking up, stepping up, moving forward? Or do I decide, no, I will not be governed by my emotions. I will be led by my values and not my emotions. And 3, every time you find yourself feeling that awkward moment, that vulnerability, and when those nerves are coursing through your body and they're telling you, oh, this could be the end. Literally, our brains process potential social threats the same way we do physical threats, like threats to our very survival. But when you find yourself feeling that way, as I do every time before I get on a stage to speak, reinterpret those emotions as a sign that you are growing into who it is you can be, that you are on center stage of your life, that you are casting a vote for the future that you want to create and the person that you one day want to meet. Braving the awkward is an essential skill to building our most meaningful life. And I can guarantee you this. If every day in the year ahead, you asked yourself, what would I do today if I was willing to brave the awkward? If I was willing to really double down on my values, regardless of whether I feel like it, 1 year from now, you would write me a little thank you note. Okay, maybe you wouldn't write me a thank you note, but you would think to yourself, I'm so glad I did that. And I don't know who told me to do that, but whoever did, it was a good idea. So today, if you were going to brave an awkward moment, what would you do? Why does it matter that you do it? And what will it cost you if you don't? Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait for courage. Don't wait for certainty. Don't wait until you know, oh, I'm not going to mess this up. I can't fail. It's going to be easy. No. Choose to live in alignment with the highest vision for your life and your commitment to the values that you want to define yourself by. I guarantee you, integrity between what we believe and what we do is the only path upon which you can never get lost. I hope this is helpful to you. And a little plug here, if you would love a little more support with braving the awkward and activating the courage within you, I invite you to check out my brand spanking new LinkedIn learning course. There will be a link in the show notes. This is by far the best course I have ever created, and it is by far times 1,000 the most professionally produced course I have ever created. It is available for everyone, though you access it through LinkedIn. If you're part of a big company, maybe you've already got a license and you can do it for free, but I definitely encourage you to please check that out. I also encourage you to look at my upcoming retreat in New Mexico in February. It is going to be a really powerful few days together. And finally, if this podcast is helpful to you in any way, if it inspires you, if it makes you go, maybe I should be a little braver today, then I hope you will rate it, review it, and share it with someone else in your life who needs to be braver too. Because in a world that's only getting more anxious and more messy and more complex, living bravely, leading bravely is indispensable for living well.